What's up, everybody? Hello, mofos.
Oh, there we go. Hey, OAMP, welcome to the chat. Can somebody send a message to James to have him send a message? I just realized I don't have him set as admin on here.
James, just have him pop in the chat so you can add him.
Yeah, I need to set him up as the actual admin or the mod. Grandpappy. You're like the youngest fucker in this group, I think. I don't know. I don't know who's younger. You or Yvraine? Yvraine, how old are you, man?
23.
23. All right. Well, you're the youngest one.
It's okay. I'm used to it. I've got 4 sisters that are all older than me.
And they're beating up on you when you're a little kid.
Robs is in the house. What's up,
I have 2
Robs?
sisters and 2 brothers, but not all older.
Am I the grandpappy, Joey? Is that who's talking? It's gotta be.
I think so. Yeah, you got me beat by a couple years. Not much.
AJ ain't nothing but a number. Who wants a Sammy? I'll take a Sammy.
Love a Sammy. No face reveal.
Background just change?
My background? Oh yeah, this background's gonna be changing the whole time, buddy. Haven't you ever seen my streams before?
What?
Come on.
Yeah, take a drink. Take a drink.
I'm sorry, I think you're breaking up. Going into a tunnel, speak up.
But alright, J-Gray, what are we here for, brother?
All right, so let me turn off this music. All right, well, hey guys, for the few of you that are in here, all 5, which I think it's mostly just us on my stream. Yeah, so Voices of Phone Destroyer, welcome guys. Today we are going to be talking about the new hammer that was thrown down this morning, this evening, depending on where you are in the world, where they actually pulled quite a few people off of the leaderboards and put them out of the leadership, what the fuck, the legendary ranks. And so that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about what we're planning on with the game, what we think is going to happen, and where we'd like to see it go from here. And so I think the first thing that we should kind of talk about is what actually was going on and what started this whole issue of, I guess, what are they calling it now? Win trading? So how did this whole issue started? And I think Yvraine's the guy to tell us kind of what happened, what was going on. And yeah, Yvraine, let's let you start it off and tell us about what the whole situation was. You had a really good post about it on Reddit the other day.
Okay, so basically it was like some whales, especially they are currently like the 2 strongest accounts in the game. I mean, there's maybe a handful of people who can actually beat them just because of their card levels. Yeah, they just went to the, I mean, you have 3 regions, Europe, Asia, and North America, and they just went on to farm ELO to Europe and North America, just to farm ELO, and then they used via VPN, you can change your regions where you play. They went on to Asia, and then they coordinated queuing up with their teammates, where they intentionally lost in order to give their teammates ELO. So basically they took ELO from everybody else and then intentionally gave them to their teammates so they could have the most high-ranked people or whatever, I don't know.
All right, so pretty much so why were they going to other regions? I think that's something that people aren't really understanding.
So initially they went to other regions because the difference in player base between Europe, North America and Asia is, I don't know how big it is, but there's a different ELO distribution, so there's more people in Europe and in Asia, so there's more ELO in Europe and in Asia. And since you have a global leaderboard, it's of course going to be differently, so it's harder to climb if you're playing in Asia. If you, let's say, you win every game, it will take you a lot more games to climb in Asia than in, for example, Europe.
Yeah.
So they used VPN to basically equal the playing field.
All right, yeah, and I think that was the big thing that kind of hit this whole thing off. So a lot of people were...
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They can compete on any region they want. I don't think anybody minds. I mean, VPN can cause lag or rubber banding in games, which admittedly can be very annoying, but nobody has an issue with anybody using VPN to other regions, as long as you play legitimately.
Yeah, and I think VPNing actually adds to like streamers to be able to go to different regions and highlight different levels of competition and everything. I'm not against VPN.
Yeah, so for me, what was happening was I was in the Asian groups when this whole thing started off, and what happened was a lot of the people, they just couldn't break into the higher ranks of the game because of the fact that they were playing in Asia. There was not as much elo to actually get, and so to be able to get that, they had to go out of the region to actually build up some elo, and then they would come back. The original idea was just come back and fight with us and actually have it out, and it would eventually distribute the elo within the Asian region so that people could actually get up into the ranks a little bit more. And I think that is okay if you would do it that way. But then once you get to the point where it's win trading and it's just you're losing on purpose so that somebody else can have that elo, then that's when you start getting into the gray areas, into the areas where it's not legitimate. So OAMP, what do you think about the whole situation in general?
About win trading specifically, or how it was handled, or just everything in general?
Let's just start with win trading.
Well, you know, it's win trading. It goes against the competitive spirit of the game, and you know, nobody really wants to see it. So I think it's the fact that the people from the Asian server feel like they have to abuse win trading to climb really only goes to show how important it is to have specific region ladders. But we don't really have that, and you know, they felt this small necessity that they, you know, they were good players, but they didn't feel that reflected on the ladder, so they win traded. And I definitely think that is something that should be, you know, punished. But in hindsight, or just looking at Redlynx, you know, track history or track record of dealing with people abusing glitches or bugs or whatever, I kind of feel like, yes, of course, they should punish people for, you know, win trading. It's just kind of, I don't know, not fair that it happens now.
Why do you say that it's not fair that it happens now?
Because there are, like, in my opinion, I don't care about ladder rank. I understand that there are people that do, but with the current way that this game is built up, like, balance changes can happen. And that could be the difference of being top 10 or perhaps even not even breaking into top 50. So there's very little room for players to change their decks and still remain competitive based on how things, you know, play out. And then there's the whole, you know, who invests more or less or just more time, etc., etc. So to me, the ladder, it's more of a sandbox. It's where people go to have fun. And I don't think that the ladder rank itself represents who is actually the #1 player in the world or anything like that. I think that goes to friendly fights and who can, you know, always beat other players on even terms. I feel like it's just so chaotic that caring about ladder rank is just, you know, such a meme.
All right. So do you think that they should have done something earlier then with like, the bans, or what?
Well, yeah, like when people were quit locking, and it was actually, you know, all the people that they actively quit locked, they would have to, you know, force restart their app, or, you know, it would just keep people climbing without, you know, having any risk of losing. Like, those people, they got a free pass. And there's also a ton of other stuff that's gotten a free pass in the past. And suddenly now with win trading, like I said, ladder rank, I don't really care about it. I don't think it's important. Now suddenly it's super important that win trading, which only affected a few people, is something that Redlynx decides to punish.
Mm-hmm. Average Guy, what do you got to say on the subject?
Just going off the most recent thing Ohm said, I do agree that it sucks that the quit locking and all that stuff didn't get punished, because quit locking definitely did affect the ladder, because people were protecting their rank artificially by using quit locking. But you got to start somewhere. So I'm very happy to see this actually, and I'm hoping that it stays consistent going forward in the future. Now, if something else pops up down the road and they go back to that fucking limp wrist type of attitude like they did with quit locking, then there's going to be a huge issue. But this is a great precedent to set, because one, I think the biggest thing that separates this from quit locking is there's very clear data and evidence to show who is doing what, and it is actual clear abuse, and it's something that is coordinated, it's calculated, and it's being done, and it's very easily tracked. So I think that's the huge difference here, and that's why I can kind of let go of the whole quit locking thing in regards to this, is because quit locking was done by a ton of people and could have been done to you by accident. You know, you lose your connection and you can look like you're quit locking back then. So it was a bit different, but this is a very different animal. This is clear collusion and people actively skirting and abusing the system in order to control the top ranks and in order to bully the leaderboards. So it really sucks that a lot of good people got caught up in this, because I've got a lot of friends that were caught up in this, and that does suck. But, you know, if you're wrong, you're wrong, you know, and this is wrong, and I'm glad to see Redlynx taking such a strong stance with it. And honestly, they could have been much harsher. So I think a lot of people are looking at this as being too severe. It's pretty light, honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
We were talking about this in the content creator chat for Redlynx, and one point that was brought up by Gamer Chick. She said, you know, just because in the past they didn't enforce a rule, or they were very light-handed on those, i.e. the quit locking, which, I mean, that made me really mad. That made Average Guy really mad. It doesn't mean that they need to keep on doing that. And by moving forward and setting a precedent, showing that, hey, you know what, we're going to follow through with what we say. This, I think it shows that they're really trying to step their game up, and also put South Park Phone Destroyer on the map, where we have the opportunity later in the future to become an actual competitive game. If people were just sitting behind their wallets as their golden shield, and they'd never had to worry about anything because Redlynx was never going to shut them down, there would have been no way that we could even make a step towards becoming a more competitive game. Yvraine, do you have anything else that you want to say on this that we've got so far?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the punishment could be a lot worse. I mean, in most competitive games, like, I don't know, I only know from League, for example, you could instantly perma-ban if you get caught win trading. There was like that one guy who was in the top 50, like he had 2 accounts very high, and he wanted to secure one in the top 50, and he was caught, and both accounts were permanently banned. So, I mean, I can understand that people are angry, because the entire season was basically wasted for them now because they got removed. But on the other hand, if you didn't do anything against it, you would effectively punish the other people that were affected by it. So I'm happy that they changed their stance on how they handle the competitive side of the game.
Yeah, I would say for me especially, when the quit locking thing was, when they ended up not doing anything about the quit locking, for me personally, it was just one of those things where I just said, do I want to continue working on this game? Do I want to continue playing it? Because, I mean, I do enjoy the game, but at the same time, it's just like, well, what are we even doing this for if you're going to be able to cheat? And I think there would have been a lot more people upset with the end situation of this if they didn't follow through with what they said that they were going to do. Average Guy.
Yeah, and I think it's also people, like, I've seen some people who are basically mad about it, that Redlynx, like, they decide now to do something about all that stuff because they haven't done so previously. But I mean, I think they should be happy, like, we should be happy that Redlynx changed their mind and they are acting on it now.
Yeah, you gotta start like, somewhere, even if it's not the right spot. You gotta start.
Yeah, I agree. What you're saying, like, it's good that they set the precedent right now moving forward. Like, we're not going to accept that people are abusing certain bugs or glitches or whatever. But I mean, what about the probably tens of thousands, or I don't know how widespread it was, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars that were refunded, and none of those accounts have been banned or terminated or anything. Like Yvraine brought up League of Legends as an example. I have a little bit of an anecdote there. I was playing a ranked game and I got disconnected because the server went down, and they flagged my account as having a leave, and they made me do this entire I promise not to leave more game stick. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to sit here and be abused. So I just bought some premium currency that I refunded on PayPal. And what immediately happened was that my account was locked, and I had to pay the amount that I refunded. Otherwise, I would not be able to play on my account again. And like, let's compare the two. Win trading a few people on the ladder compared to hundreds of thousands, perhaps, of revenue lost. Nothing happens. That's the only problem that I have. That they now start to care about these things, and it's such a small thing. It's so menial. Like, is this season 4 or 5?
4.
Yeah. So like, and now they're gonna happen on a monthly basis. So like, the issue arose. They warned everybody. They shut it down. The next season, like tomorrow, if I'm not misinformed, is the new season. Like, we wouldn't be bothering with that then. Oh, okay, so Steve is in the chat saying players who request refunds have a negative balance applied to their account. So I guess they are punishing them after all.
Boom shakalaka.
Cool. Thank you, Steve,
Thanks
for showing
popping
up, by
in
the
there,
way.
Steve.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming in and listening to this little, let's call it a Discord that we're having. Anyways, so what do you guys think that they should do moving forward? We said that some people are saying that this could be a little bit light-handed as far as punishment goes. What do you think? Should they be handing out permabans moving forward, or do you think that it should be just banned from the legendary ranks that season if they're caught cheating? Average guy.
Well, definitely, if people continue this behavior, definitely a permaban is warranted. Some people would argue that a permaban was warranted on this first time around. I think the punishment's appropriate here. But yeah, going forward, it should definitely go more severe, because again, we want this game to be taken seriously. If we want it to be competitive and to be taken seriously, we have to act like big boys and girls and go by big boys and girls rules, and understand that if we break those big boys and girls rules, there's going to be consequences. And for those to be there, you have to, again, start somewhere, and I think this is a great start.
Yeah, Yvraine, do you have any comment on it?
Yeah, I think the most important thing now is for Redlynx to exactly clarify what's going to happen if anybody's going to win trade again. Because if I say nothing now and it happens again next season, then you'll have a discussion. Okay, do we get the same treatment as the players this season, or a different one?
They did, Yvraine. It was in the dev post. He said if this continues, they can face their PvP.
Yeah, but it says they can face. That's
revoked.
always like, that's so vague. It's just, I mean, it doesn't say a definite answer.
In
Well,
one of the
That's
one of the
pretty
comments
definite.
that
It's saying
Steve
if you
had
keep doing it, these are the things that can happen to you.
and one of the comments that Steve made to the we actually told Steve, we said, hey, we need specific rules laid out for this of what's going to happen. And what Redlynx told us was that if we make it definite and use exact language, then the problem is people are going to find ways to skirt around it, and they want to be able to give themselves enough leeway that if something's still in the gray and they deem it to be bad, then they're going to be able to take action against it, instead of putting themselves in a box of this is wrong, and if somebody does something just outside of that wrong line, then they can't do anything about it.
It's kind of also applies to how Suppress was falsely flagged this time. They already reinstated him on the ladder, so he's back to being number 1. But, like you said, it gives them leeway.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just permad or permaban, then that would be a whole other,
And that would
it would be so much more shit for them to deal with.
Yeah.
I do want to say thanks to Redlynx on the way that they did handle that they did have more than one round of verification, because what Steve said in his announcement was that they went through and they flagged everybody who looked like that they were doing it, but then there were special flags specifically for those who could have been in question, and those took more of a, they actually went in and looked at it themselves. So I think that was a good idea on their part, because I know that there is the possibility where you could run into somebody looks like that they're doing win trading, but it could just be that they're just going back and forth and they keep fighting the same person just by chance.
Good job, James. Thank you, brother.
Yes.
But on that topic of the punishment, what I also wanted to say is I think I could have been a bit more careful, because I mean there have been some people who are like rank 1000 or higher who got also their ranks reset, so that causes a lot of confusion, even though it's not that bad, but still. And another thing, this is one that I think will definitely affect the ladder today too, is the people who got their ranks reset to 0, they still have their original elo. And if you play them, you still lose or gain elo normally. They are just not visible on the ranked ladder. So I think that can cause some issues, because those people can still affect the ladder in favor of, for example, their teammates, or to the detriment of other players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but is that better or worse than if they were reset to 0? Because like if they get reset to 0, still on the ladder, then they're truly destroying people's elo.
Yeah, that's
so.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard. You'd have to like ban them for the remainder of the season, and that's not a good idea either. But yeah, it's hard.
It's like Yvraine said, it was a handful of people. But they are ruining the competitive integrity of the game at the top ladder, but it affects such a small amount of people. So if they actually do reset them to 0, like instead of it ruining the fun for a few people at the top of the ladder, they are going to ruin the fun for about 13,000 people in Legendary, you know?
They're going to ruin a lot of people's day. No free hat for anybody.
So I was actually thinking about solutions for this, and one of the ideas that I've seen happen before was Rockstar with GTA. They actually made a specific server for cheaters, or people that they deemed to be cheaters, and so you got thrown into this pool of just people who were cheating, and you could have the worst day of your life after that because you're with a bunch of modders and cheaters. But do you guys think that would be a viable option to do, is just have a separate server for cheaters where they automatically get thrown into there?
I think that would be hilarious. I think that would take a lot of
If that was a thing, I would honestly make or take one of my second accounts and just try to cheat as much as I possibly can, and just get into this chaotic server where everybody's just energy cheating, etc., etc.
Yeah, that would definitely be an interesting way to do it. But I just think that would take a lot of manpower, a lot of work for something like that.
All right, Steve, get on that one. Yeah, your brain.
No, I mean, I think the idea of it is funny if you think about it, and I know of some other games do it, for example, for toxic players or people who leave the games. There's like that low priority queue, or what it's called in Dota.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think it would be a terrible idea. I mean, it's basically a ban from the game because it's only like, it's less than 10 people, I think. So those people would just queue up against each other all the time, or against nobody, so might as well effectively ban them if you do that.
Okay, and I see Dobbs saying in the chat here, one of his teammates claims to have matched up against one of the folks removed from the ladder and lost elo. That's what we were saying. You can still lose elo from them, but they're only losing the amount of elo if they were still at that rank. So even though they're at rank 0 right now, they're off the board. They're not going to be taking way more elo than they would normally. So yeah, you can still match up against these people and lose to them and lose elo, but you're not going to be losing elo like they're at 0 rank or they're at the very bottom of the ladder. You're losing the elo, I guess, probably at where they were taken down. I mean,
it's basically they have the exact same elo they had before. They are just not on the leaderboards anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, they can still play, but they're not getting any rewards this season.
And I think that sounds like the lesser of all evil, in order to keep them again from just raining hell down on the entire leaderboard.
He said it was from top 10 and he got minus 300. Ooh, ouch.
Tell them to screenshot that shit from now on. I know I'll be in case I run into anybody.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we need to always remember is that you guys need, or everybody needs to be ready to screenshot throughout the whole game, because we have a lot of bugs that are happening still, and so you just need to kind of be vigilant. I know that there's a ton of bugs that are happening in the game. Speaking of which, what bugs have you guys seen that have been prevalent this season? Let's go.
I somehow dropped down to rank 300 something and not rank 10-ish where I used to be. So I think Steve should fix that bug.
Honestly, I haven't seen a ton of bugs. I've seen some new kids or some cards still get stuck behind the new kid. But honestly, other than just connection issues, that's really been my only complaint as far as bugs.
Yeah, I think the only bug that I've actually seen is the application of poison effects. Sometimes you will obviously see them yourself.
They should be removed.
The health bar never moves.
Yes,
so,
yeah,
but that's
true.
a connectivity issue. I only ever had that against players from other regions.
Yeah,
so
I think
obviously it's a latency thing.
I've had that one in a tournament game where on my screen the unit died, and on the screen of the other person it was like still there but poisoned. So the poison didn't do any damage. It was really weird.
I don't think that's gonna go away until they get a server side or fully server side PvP.
Yeah, I've been absolutely plagued this season with mind control. That has been the absolute worst for me. My Night Ike, he keeps getting mind control, which I'm completely fine with. But now that I'm running Enforcer Jimmy, it'll stop him from charging up. And once he switches back to the normal Ike that belongs to me, he won't charge up. He'll still stay in Enforcer Jimmy's little thing, and that just ruins the game for me multiple times now.
Yeah, I remember that bug too. It's but it's general with Enforcer Jimmy as well. Like if you are in his aura and you're disabled from charging, like even like 5 or 10 seconds after you left his aura, the units still don't charge.
Yeah, and that's something that they definitely need to work on. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the fixes that they've put in so far, and I think that they're starting to make a lot of progress with that. So moving forward with the games and the Legendary, we're going to be having it almost monthly. Is there any changes that you guys want to see to the Legendary ranks?
I want to see them increase the we have all these different tiers of Legendary rank rewards, right? Like 1 to 10, 10 to 100, etc. I want to see those expanded, because right now I think, does it only go up to 1,000?
Yeah,
do any of you guys know?
1,000 and below.
I think you can check in game.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000. I'm just going to assume it's 1,000. And like at this point, there are 13,000 people in Legendary.
It's 4,000 and below is the last tier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like there's 13,000 people, so it doesn't even cover like half the Legendary pool. So I think that it would be much better for all those players that are being sort of like locked out of the improved rewards if they expanded the brackets even further back. Like they don't have to necessarily expand the top that much, but definitely make sure that more people that are like in the 6,000s or 7,000s or 8,000s, they have something to fight for as well, and something to aim for at the end of the season, and not just get into Legendary like, well, that's all that I can do outside of active play.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I would definitely like to see in terms of changes to the seasons.
I totally agree.
Have they brought up the topic of who will be staying into Legendaries this time? Will it be the top 50% again, or?
No, it's everybody below 10,000 elo will go into Silver Shields.
Yeah,
everybody.
So that's going to be a lot of people.
So a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, I'm right there with OAMP. I would just want to see rewards get better. And honestly, I have recently PvP packs have been fantastic for me. I don't know if it's just a RNG thing for me lately, but I've heard lots of people this past like week or two getting really good PvP rewards. This assassin event, while the card selection was not so great, and the completing of the event was also not so great, the packs were pretty damn good in my opinion. They were loaded with assassins, and that's exactly what we want to see from these themed events. The event has a theme, the reward should follow that theme. And it's one thing that's frustrated me quite a lot is the only events that have ever seemed to follow that have been the fantasy events. All the other events, mystical, adventure, sci-fi, nah, you get whatever the fuck we can give you in there. But, you know, fantasy event, yeah, we're going to load up the most used class in the fucking game with all that sweet rewards. But this assassin event did a really good job of it. Tons of assassins. Really felt like that's what I was playing for, you know. It felt like it was a themed event, and I thought it was really good. The rewards, at least, not the card selection or the actual.
Yeah. Yvraine, what do you think?
About the event?
About the about the legendary ranks and how can we improve on it and what's going on with that?
I mean, I think that the idea with the more tiers is good and better rewards for certain tiers. So there's like more competition over the entire season and not just over the last 2 days when all the D rankers come back.
Mm-hmm. I will say that I think a lot of people were upset with the fact that this was a card usage event and it ended 1 day before the reset was going to happen. I know for me specifically, I'm trying to push for that 4,000 rank, but I also really wanted all these cards and I really wanted to help out my team because my team, we have a specific, we have the requirements to be on the team. And so I needed to fulfill those as well. And so it was really difficult to try to get my deck up there and get into the 4,000 ranks when I'm trying to play with a bunch of assassins that I haven't really leveled up all too much. So I think that could have been better planned out, and I feel like that this is a reoccurring issue that we've had with almost every season now, where they seem to pick one of these events at the very end, and I think every year or every time we say, hey, we don't want this at the very end, did that happen the last 2 seasons as well? I think
it happened in season 1, but
yeah, season 1.
Don't think it happened
season
before
1.
That or after that.
And they have acknowledged that, yeah, it was a goof up, and they blame it on Bounty Hunter Kyle. They wanted to match up with the Han Solo movie release, and so then this event got shoved over to the end of the season, which just sucks, you know. But honestly, I think it was just a case of them not paying attention to the timeline and shuffling the events and being like, "Oops, too late now." So it sucks, and it's not something you want to see. But yeah, it's definitely something they should not be doing at the end of Legendary season.
Yeah. So for the legendary ranks, she asked about D rankers and if they affect the ladders as well. What do you guys think that we could do about D rankers, and how can that be fixed?
Ban them all.
Ban them all.
I'd like to take the same stance on D rankers as I have with card balance. Instead of focusing so much on nerfs, or in this case, you know, punishing those players, what about just making a better experience for everybody, and obviously making it more lucrative to stay at the best rank that you possibly can get throughout the season? So I don't know if they could do that in terms of making specialized legendary PvP packs based on how.
To legendary rewards, though.
Well,
it's
okay, so a tiny reward at the start, and then a slightly less tiny at the end. But yeah, something that just makes people want to, you know, climb and not just go for fast, easy packs, etc.
Mm-hmm. I think that you bringing that up, there was some game I played a long time ago where the longer you stayed at a higher rank, every day you got more points and more points and more points. And then on the side, at the end of whatever the season was for that game, you ended up getting a reward for how many points you had because of how high your level was. So if you were at level 1, or if you're at rank number 1 the whole season, then you ended up getting like this baller ass shit just because you stayed up there. You might not have finished all the events, but they made it worth your while to stay up there at the very top. Yvraine, what do you think about D-rankers?
Yeah, they are bad. I mean, Redlynx's current system definitely encourages it, even though some people take it way too far. Like, I mean, there was that one guy who's like level 21, I think, who's who was at rank 13,000, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he could sit at rank 2,000 and still win every game, so there's no need for that, other than, I don't know. But, I mean, the thing you mentioned with the rewards, like giving out rewards the longer you're at top rank, that's a good idea. Even though there's like a danger that it's too much, and then, you know, a few select people get like so much rewards again, so they stay at the top. So it's
I kind of agree, but at the same time, I sort of feel like circling back to the thing where I said that the ladder is just the current sort of fun mode, where everything is chaotic. Like, there's always going to be imbalance between who's there and who's not. Like, all the current whales, they're always going to be top 10. We can't really do anything about that. But I completely agree with you saying that it's going to give the people that have more even more, and then they're going to stay at the top. But it's also going to benefit the majority of players, which, you know, like the whales, they are the 1%. And, you know, the 99% others will also benefit from that, so long as they don't derank themselves.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. But what I also to say that you could be like some other, like you could give some cosmetic rewards. I mean, it's nothing game changing, but a lot of the people still want it just for the sake of having it. So
yeah, I don't care about events and stuff, but if there's you know, cosmetic rewards, then I really want to grind those out. I want all the cosmetic rewards. I think they're really cool. And if you have exclusives like the crown that you got from having the top team during one of the events or something, like I think that's a nice incentive.
So, average guy, or I'm sorry, Mr. Incredible, what do you think about the D-rankers?
I really do like what you're about the cosmetic rewards. And yes, I had brought that up a long time ago, that time in certain ranks should be factored in as well. So that's a really good idea, JGray.
Don't steal my idea. You're saying that you brought it up a long time ago.
I'm stealing your idea, yeah. Okay. You know, just because facts and things. Anyways, but like OAMP said, so I'm just taking all your guys' comments and making them my own now. Thank you all. But like OAMP said, keeping the better players, the whales, where they should be up in the higher ranks really does benefit those who are hurt most by deranking, and that's the newer players, the players that are trying to come up. They're investing their time, and they're maybe little dolphins trying to grow into whales. They need that space. They can't be in the same waters as the whales that have been here since before global release. You know, they need their own little pool to be swimming around in, eating their little minnows, not getting gobbled up by these whales. So incentivizing them to go and get these other different types of rewards, which, like Yvraine said, being cosmetic is probably the best way to go, is a really good way to help them have that environment to grow in and really enjoy the game as much as they should.
And even if it's not cosmetic, eventually, I mean, I know the game's going to continue to grow and move, but as it is now, and the cards that are being released now, eventually things are going to level out. I mean, 2 seasons ago, I was nowhere near the level I am now, but since then, I've been able to level up a lot of cards, and they've only released a few cards. And so, I mean, eventually everything reaches that equilibrium until Redlynx decides to throw out a massive change to the game where they possibly have a new theme to add in. So, giving the whales those, if it would be more than cosmetic changes, if it would be cards or money, tickets, whatever you want, eventually it's gonna level out. It'll just take a little while for that to happen, because there's only so high that you can go.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be imbalance, but that's natural in any kind of pay-to-win type of game. But I think the model that we have for this game is really good. And
yeah,
you know, there's of course always room for improvement, but
I think the real focus of the game here, in the not too distant future, will start moving away from the legendary ranks and more towards the competition tournaments that people are holding on their own, like the Redlynx tournament, or like the Mercenaries had a tournament. I think Nambla had a tournament as well. I think people are going to be starting to focus on that more and more, where the cards are actually capped and people aren't able to use all level 6, level 7 cards as well. So I'm excited to see what happens in the future and where Redlynx decides, or when Redlynx decides to push forward with those type of things. And I think we'll see that with the challenges that are coming up.
Yeah, I hope that the leaked challenge strings leads to something in the future, which is something like an arena mode from Hearthstone, which is also formalized with its own ladder or something, where people are potentially playing with capped cards, etc. And, you know, just
a draft mode. That would
yeah, draft mode, and it's pretty much all skill and not necessarily all about who has the most common level 6s or, you know, at this point, level 7s.
Yeah, and just real quick, I want to address Newport's chat. He says, the way he sees it, they don't listen to anything we say anyway, so might as well play with what we're dealt with. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form. I think they do one of the best jobs I've ever seen out of any gaming community of listening to the people and taking what we say into account. Now, granted, a lot of the shit we say, like OAMP has made a point of, or they're already thinking of, they're already on top of it, and things can't change at the drop of a hat just because it's a big issue in the community at the current moment. But I really do think they do a fantastic job. I've had my issues with them before, and I've always taken it up with them, sometimes to my detriment. But again,
mine.
I think they do a fantastic job. So I just wanted to point that out.
And
as
also,
a day one player, they made massive changes that have exclusively benefited players.
yeah, and I think something that a lot of people don't realize is that developing a game, it's not something where you go in unless it's a PvP pack issue, I'm sorry, a PvP ticket issue. It's not something where they go in and they change a number value and then it's fixed like that. If you look at PlayerUnknown's battle... That's the only time when they said it did. But anyways, if you look at PlayerUnknown's Battleground, they were talking about the vault function where you have to run or where you can jump over objects. They said that took 3 months to be able to implement into their game. And so there's just a lot more that goes into developing the games compared to what we actually think. And there's a lot of this that's planned out as well. I mean, I don't know what you guys found out when you guys were able to go to Helsinki, but compared to when you went to Helsinki and now, how much had they actually planned out of the game from that point to now?
NDA, bro.
NDA, you can't.
NDA, yeah, I can't say anything. I don't want to pay those 50,000 euros.
No, I don't want to know what it is. I just want to see, is it a lot that you guys? Is it something that you notice where they planned this out really far in advance, or is it?
Well, yeah. I was there a day before Avrgguy777 and I was led into a room which had things on the wall, and those things were indicative of them having made massive changes and both planning, you know, way ahead. So, I mean, all the things that we have gotten, you know, they've been working on that for a long time. It's not just something like, oh, the player base, they want friendly fights. I guess we'll spend 2 weeks cooking that up.
Yeah, so I think it's just important to know that they have a lot of these planned out, and it's really hard to change course of a game when you have it planned out this far ahead. It's not like it's a little small cat and you can get it to turn around easy. It's a massive elephant that takes quite a bit to get it to turn around and change direction. Yvraine, do you have anything else that you want to add?
What's Redlynx and plan? I mean, I wasn't really even told. Like, I don't even know anything about what they were planning, so I can't even comment on that very much.
Yeah, we got to go there, but they were also very tight. We didn't get to see the full curtain type of stuff. We didn't get to see the wizard and all that. We got just a little peek.
Yeah, even the room that I was in was a mistake, so they never meant for me to be in there.
You just walked in on your own, or what happened there?
No, they followed me there, and they told me to wait there.
Oh, okay.
And then they realized, wait, you can't wait here. You have to follow us again.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all we got for topics. Let's go to the chat, see if you guys have any questions for any of the guys over here, Average Guy, Yvraine, OAMP, myself. And we'll take a couple questions from there. We've got about, I'm going to say 15 minutes to go on this. So if we can get some good questions in there, then we'll try to answer it. Or do you guys have anything else that you want to say while we wait for these questions to come in?
I just want to let everybody know that immediately following, will be streaming Twitch, twitch.tv/Avrgguy777. It'll be Music Monday, where you throw me a follow, you throw me a sub, you throw me some biddies. You get to do some song requests. I'm going to be playing some Animation Throwdown for a little bit, and then I'm going to go into Phone Destroyer and see if I can't hold down that top 500 spot to get my free hat.
Yeah. What game will you be playing over on Twitch before?
I'll start with Animation Throwdown, but I'll a couple of matches. Destroyer.
All right, yeah, your audio was cutting out on the first one, so we didn't hear you on that.
No worries.
And it looks like that James wants to know why his father won't accept him. You're gonna have to take that up with Steve, James. I'm sorry.
Go to his live stream, James. Your dad has a live. Watch it. Pretty damn entertaining.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like that we don't have any questions. But I think that this was kind of good to just sit around and talk about what's going to happen, how we feel about the actual situation. Let's go through and do some final comments. We'll start with OAMP. Do you have any final comments to say about the whole situation, or want to throw anything out there about what you're doing in life or on YouTube or Twitch?
Getting sick gains, that's for sure. Nah, I don't know. Not really doing that much. I'm just working. And then, you know, playing this game pretty casually compared to what I used to do. But it's fun. I like the you know, the balance changes that they've done, and I'm really looking forward to the mystical changes. So I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna start playing sci-fi and mystical, and play a pretty heavy legendary base deck. So.
Oh, you're going to,
I don't know, maybe I'll make some
switch to
content on that.
mystical. Why are you going to switch to mystical? Does it have anything to do with the new meta change that Dobbs Merc wanted to ask about, but it was too late?
Oh, dude, no, I always like playing the underdog. I played Poison when that was shit, and now I'm gonna play mystical when that is shit. So, you know, I'm all about being ahead of the curve with bad decks.
Yvraine, what do you think about the new changes that are coming up with the mystical theme?
They look good, mostly. I mean, I'm a bit sad that they didn't make any changes to Corbett Butters, because he's just as bad as Hermes Kenny, so they could have gave him a little buff as well.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, looks fine. I mean, I don't understand the Ninju changes, because giving him more HP does not change anything about how often he's going to be used.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely.
What do you think about? What do you think about the Pope Timmy change? Do you think that's going to actually make him a viable card now, or do you think people still won't use him?
I think it can be good with, I mean, with Sexin and Randy being pretty strong, it could be good for some whales, like that have both of them at level 5, or at least Sexin and Randy to revive him. But I don't know, generally, I mean, it depends on how much you value him. Like, I wouldn't say he's a free cost card with only his stats, because the other Timmys cost 3 and have an effect, so he's like 2 cost or something. So you need at least something that costs 4 to be revived for him to be worth it. So.
Oh, Manbear Pig. That's an easy answer.
On that note, I have to say, I think
low ranks.
For lots of us that play in the upper echelon of Legendary, it's easy to forget that there's a world on the other side of the fence. I think that buff for Pope Timmy is really good for Bronze and Silver Shield players, because down in that meta, it's a lot of headhunters, it's a lot of heavy cards that are in that meta, and him being a 6 cost would probably be really, really good down there. So that for beginning players and for folks down there in those levels, I think it's a good buff.
Yeah, I remember my favorite combination when I was down in that area was Pope Timmy and Manbear Pig. It was just like the unstoppable combination that was just an abomination for everybody else, and that was a lot of fun. OAMP, what's your favorite legendary?
Oh boy, I'll have to say Mekatimi, just like the hundreds of other times I also said Mekatimi.
All right. All right. I think that. Did you guys see any other questions that we need to answer before we wrap this up? No. All right. We're gonna wrap this up officially. Yvraine, do you have any final comments that you want to put on this before we end this?
If starts playing Mystical Scythe, I'm gonna report him, but I've played against it already. It's actually, I think it's the most frustrating to play against, because it's so slow and poison just takes away all your units.
Yeah.
It's super anti-fun if you have it
Maybe not
really
just-
high level.
Maybe not the strongest, but the most annoying for sure.
Yeah,
I
a
can't.
massive meat shield, and you can just slowly whittle down enemy units.
I can't stand Cartman. He is still my least favorite card to go up against. He just his fat ass won't get out of the way. And Average Guy, what do you got to say for your final thing? You're going on
again,
stream here in a minute.
Yeah, but just talking about the topics that we're talking about, again, it sucks. There's some really good people that got caught up in this mess that have made a mistake. I'm glad that the hammer wasn't too heavy. I think the punishment is fine with what was going on, and hopefully that stuff will not continue in the future, so we won't have to worry about it anymore. But again, it is really good to see Redlynx take this stance and not let certain things like wallets or anything like that come into play when deciding the health of their player base. What's more important, putting the player base ahead of whales, I think, is a very good precedent to set, and just the fact that this type of abuse won't be tolerated. So I think it's a good thing. But again, it sucks. It's not great.
I think we lost Average Guy.
No, we
Can you
didn't.
not hear me?
No.
He's there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
No.
can.
Okay. But again, I just think I think it's a good thing. It sucks. It's bad and it's good. It's good to see from Redlynx. It sucks that it came from some good people because some of those were my buddies. But again, hopefully that stuff won't be happening in the future, and we can all move forward.
Yeah, and we just lost OAMP, which screwed up the entire layout of the stream, but that's perfect timing. So you guys, don't forget to go and check out OAMP over on YouTube. I think he's also doing some Twitch stuff as well. There's no hope for you, Average Guy. It's completely
I was trying to get in there.
So it's just me now. But definitely go check out the other guys. Here's what we can do. I can hop over.
Yeah, see, you can see me. I was in there for a second.
Yeah, it's not hard to fix that. Anyways, so what I want to say is that everybody make sure to check out OAMP. He's got a lot of videos that are going to be coming out soon. Average Guy is going to be streaming over on Twitch here in a couple of minutes, so go and check that out. He's going to be playing some what is that game called again?
Phone Destroyer and Animation Throwdown.
Animation Throwdown. He's playing that. I don't know why he's wasting his time on that game anymore.
Helping my buddies out.
Yeah, helping your friends. And then he's going to be back over on Phone Destroyer trying to keep his top spot. I myself will not be streaming anymore after this. I need to go to bed, but we've got a lot of content coming out. We got some new games for you. And hopefully I will be seeing you guys around. We got some vlogs coming out and some pretty sweet videos. So to everybody who joined us, OAMP, Average Guy, Yvraine, thank you guys very much. Thank you to all 35 of you who are over in the stream chatting about the game. I really do appreciate it. I love seeing you guys get in here and seeing your comments. And we're gonna Average Guy, it's impossible. You're just waving at nothing right now.
They saw me for a second. I don't care. I'm committed.
So everybody, thank you very much for your participation and showing up. It really does mean a lot. Also, don't forget to drop those likes. If you guys haven't, make sure to hop on over to Average Guy's stream or his channel. It's youtube.com/Avrgguy777 and subscribe to his channel there. Also subscribe to this channel. Push that little bell button on both of our channels, and make sure to hit that like button as well. Leave some comments, and we will be seeing you guys later. Thank you very much, and that is it. Peace out, guys.